Hello and welcome to the Night Feed. I'm your host, Charlotte, here to keep you company during, let's face it, one of the toughest parts of being a new parent, the Night Feed. Tonight's unpaid sponsor is knowing what on earth to do when the baby sleeps. Long-time listeners will know I am a serial contact napper with my last baby, especially. He has had most of his daytime naps on me. I have lent right into it. And recently, now he's almost 14 months, I've been getting him to sleep in the pram, which if you have contact naps as well, but you're looking to get your arms back a little bit sometimes of a day, I would highly recommend the pram. I'm able to rock him to sleep in the kitchen to the song that he likes. And I have been known to get an hour and a half at the moment, which to me is a huge chunk of time. And it's knowing what to do. I go up the stairs, then I grab some washing, then I come down, I'm like, oh, I don't want to put the washing machine on yet because that could wake him. Then I'm like, maybe I'll mop the hallway, but then, well, the mop bucket could wake him. Maybe I'll just chill, but then the coffee machine could wake him. And it's so weird when you've not had that stretch of time to then get it back and know what to do. I mean, it's a nice problem to have, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's that kind of limbo we all do, especially when you're used to them just having 20 minutes and then the 20 minutes becomes half an hour and then it becomes an hour and some days more than an hour. You're like, whoa, if I'd have known I was going to get that time, I could have painted a bedroom. No, I'm joking. Can we agree that the people out there, the mums that are like, just painted the kitchen during nap time, have got help? Surely to God, they've got help. I saw some influencer and she's like, yeah, while the baby was down, I repainted my coffee cabinet in my kitchen. Thinking, I would barely have enough time to get the paintbrushes out and the paint. So I don't know what's going on there, but don't be guilt tripped. Sometimes when I have a nap, when the baby has a nap, I would love a nap. When the baby has a nap, I just have a coffee and put the telly on, and I don't feel bad one bit. I took an unplanned hiatus this last 2 weeks. Life just got very, very busy. Luckily, good busy. But I knew I needed to take a little step away and come back to you guys fresh, with fresh content. I had sat down one night to record and the material wasn't quite there. And I thought, no, I want this podcast to always be interesting, to be useful. I'm conscious that you're busy mums and your time is sacred. So I thought, take a step away, have a little break and come back nice and fresh. So thank you for being here. And thank you for the lovely messages some of you sent me asking if I was okay. That really means more than you know. It's like having friends all over the world who I truly, truly appreciate. So thanks for being here, as always. I've had some wonderful milestones this past few weeks, and this is for those of you who are newly in the newborn trenches and chronically tired, wondering if it gets better. Believe me, when you see some of these milestones happen, the pride and the joy you feel completely outweigh those tough early weeks. Firstly, my baby boy has learnt to walk. And it's so surprising how quickly they go from pulling themselves up on furniture to practically running across a room, trying to climb stairs, chairs, anything he can get his hands on. So I spend a lot of time chasing him now, pulling him out of the washing machine, pulling him off the stairs, and pulling him away from anything hazardous that he's able to find within 3 seconds of me turning my head. So I'm very active, shall we say, at the moment. But it is wonderful to see when your baby walks, seeing their little chubby legs and little chubby arms walking around a room, toddling, is the cutest thing. And it's a milestone we all kind of anticipate and wait for. And it happens at very different times. All my 3 children walk at different ages. Obviously, well, they were all around one, but it's always been at different points, and it's just lovely to see when it happens, even if it does make you very busy. And then my eldest was in her first dance show, and what a moment. As a dancer myself, seeing her walk onto the stage in a tutu was just one of those moments in life that I dreamt of coming true. And safe to say, I was a bit of an emotional wreck. And then last weekend, my dad asked me to take the girls' bikes over to their house when they were having them overnight. Now, my dad is a cyclist. He's not a keen cyclist. He doesn't like do it for fun. He is a cyclist through and through. It's in his blood since he, I imagine, was born. He's always liked cycling and he's very good at it. He was semi-pro when he was younger and still in his 50s or 30s, as he says. He goes on casual 100-mile bike rides. He loves it. So I knew I always wanted him to be the one to teach my children how to ride. That meant a lot to me. So now my eldest she's still a little tentative. She started to learn a little bit, but she's still a bit tentative. However, my 3-year-old is less cautious and loves anything physical. So on Saturday night, I was just chilling. They were with my mum and dad. Me and Jason at home with one child, which makes things much easier. Then a video comes through and there she is riding a bike. Well, off I went crying again. So there you have it. Think of these moments when you get those Karens who say, oh, just you wait till they're walking and they're into everything, and just you wait till they're teenagers, and just you wait till they answer you back. You know, them people that love fear-mongering. It's like a certain demographic of older women who love fear-mongering. Just you wait. Anyway, what I'd like to say is just you wait till you see these moments that literally make your heart burst with pride and love, because there's nothing else like it. And you've got it all to come, especially if you're a first-time mum with a brand new newborn thinking, oh, when am I going to sleep again? When will I get some part of me back? You will. And what comes with it is just amazing. So, yeah. I've also been heeding my own advice because I always bang on about reading, don't I, instead of being on your phone. And I've come across a book that I love. And isn't it just great when you get into a bloody good book and you look forward to those quiet times, few and far between, that you get to sit down and get into your book. And I came across this book because I follow a few people on Instagram and they're quite big influencers, these girls that I follow, and they both at a very similar time asked, what's your kind of die-hard book that you've read that is fiction? And they were both saying how they're big non-fiction readers. Now, I'm quite like that. I've always liked my factual books, and I always like to learn something when I read. So to read fiction to me, sometimes it's a bit like, am I going to get that much from it kind of thing? I like a thriller, but you know, when I'm on holiday, but I don't necessarily pick up fiction books very often. And they both asked this question, what's the fiction book that convinced you to move to fiction again away from non-fiction? And unanimously, for both of the girls, they got the same response from so many followers, and it was The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. So I had a little bit of a delve and I got it because I saw loads of feedback online that it was one of those books that stayed with them, and it's this epic novel, essentially modern novel, that everyone has good things to say about it. So I'll get it and I'll see. And it basically follows two sisters in Nazi-occupied France in the 1940s. Now, I did history at uni, so it's quite a wonder that I don't read very much historical fiction. It's not really a genre that I've really been that into, but I am bloody loving this book. It's hard hitting, it's tragic at times, but it is a brilliant read. The way she writes has hooked me right in, and it's one of those books with really tiny writing. So you open it and you're like, whoa, this is going to take me a while. But I have absolutely just burnt through it. I can't put it down when I have the time. And it's kept me off my phone. So I'd highly recommend it. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, if you're into that kind of thing. And even if you're not, it might be worth giving it a go because so many people have been converted to fiction because of it. And on that note, email me if you have any other book recommendations like that, because I've got the fiction bug again. And I'd love to know any of your recommendations. So email the nightfeedpodcast@gmail.com and I'll share them on the next episode. Maybe I'll have a little book segment where I'll share any new reads and any recommendations from you guys. Okay, on to the emails. And I had some lovely emails this past couple of weeks. I had a bit of a backlog and I have replied to you all now, I hope. I've took a bit longer than I usually do. So apologies, but I do always reply to everybody that emails in. So please keep them coming, even if you don't necessarily want to ask anything on the podcast, even if you just want to ask me something, or I always love chatting to you guys. So keep your questions, your stories, your tips coming in to the nightfeedpodcast@gmail.com. So firstly, I want to touch on an email that came from Kim, who emailed previously about contact napping. And in one of her later emails, she asked me if there was a sling I could recommend so that she can move around while the baby's contact napping. I absolutely have a sling that I can recommend because I've tried a few. With my first, tried one of those, where it's just material and you wrap it around you. It's like one of those kind of hippie scarf ones that in principle look great. When you see a little newborn in them, they look like they're huddled almost back in the womb again on your chest. I tried that with my first and I didn't love it. I never felt secure enough. It always just felt like she was going to kind of like flop out the bottom. And I don't know if I was doing it right. Maybe if I'd have tried it a bit more, I would have got a better knack for it. But that didn't sit with me. Then I tried, I can't remember the brand. It was about £45 on Amazon. Had good reviews. It was good for the hips because I know you've really got to watch that. I can't remember what it's called, but they have like an accreditation for hip support because some slings aren't made with that in mind, and it can be bad for the hips, especially if you're going to use them a lot. So always watch for the hip accreditation. I can't remember what it's called, but it will be on the sling in the information if it is. So I tried that one on Amazon. I didn't love it. I never felt that she was that comfy in it. I didn't love wearing it. Then with my second, I got the Baby Bjorn sling. It's about £100. Best investment I think I have made as a mum. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think of everything. That sling has had so much use, especially with my third, because I need my hands free on the school run. That Baby Bjorn carrier is the newborn one we've got, and it's suitable from birth. I found it really comfortable. Jason loves it as well. He can wear it, no problem. And the babies, I only had it from my second and my third. They've always been very comfortable in it. And it's just such a practical, handy thing. I didn't use it so much for contact naps, I'll be honest. Although I have used it, especially on days when I've got to get things done. I'll just put you in the sling. What I have used it for is the school run because I have both my hands free and the baby on me. So handy, so handy. Going shopping, I wear it on me. And sometimes this is a little bit morbid, but when I'm out and about in the car with the three of them, sometimes I'll put it on. If anything was to happen and I had to get out of the car quite quickly, I'm thinking ahead that I could just slide the baby in the sling, get the other two out, and he's kind of locked in. He's in the sling. So sometimes I even drive with it on. When I go shopping, I put him in that, and it has been brilliant. So I highly recommend the Baby Bjorn early sling, and I need to get the next one now because he's 14 months and I think it's only recommended till the 12 months. And I was actually laughing with my friend at school the other day on the school run that he's going to be in it till he's 6, the school bag and everything. he's in it all the time. But yeah, from my experience, the Baby Bjorn, I think it's 0 to 12 months carrier. I'll put the link in the description. But if anybody else has some great sling recommendations, send them in and I will share them as well. Next email says, is Perma-Tired my new normal? Hi Charlotte, Just wanted to say that I've loved your podcast ever since I stumbled across it around 6 months ago. I live in the middle of Manchester and Liverpool, so the northern vibe really resonates with me. Plus your no nonsense real mum advice. Love that. I'm actually from the middle of between Manchester and Liverpool originally, so probably in a very similar place to you. We always talk about how our babies sleep, but I thought I'd reach out and ask about how us mums sleep and dads too. My baby has just turned 1, and I thought I'd be feeling more on top of the lack of sleep, especially before I'm going back to work full time. But in all honesty, I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I'm amazed I can function on much less sleep than I was used to. I was always a solid 8-hour girl, same. But I'm wondering, is this feeling of constant tiredness just my new normal? My husband pulls his weight with overnight wake ups and settles our daughter, but sometimes all she wants is the boot. So I don't think it's the case of sharing more of the load. We're both just perma-tired. I've read that being tired from work is different, as it's more of a mental tiredness when I'm already carrying the mental load. Does it get easier? Should I embrace the caffeine and go from there? I'm wondering if you or any other listeners out there have tips to help with this transition. Looking forward to the next episode and hopefully hearing back from you, Ashley. Firstly, Ashley, perma-tired is a very real thing, and I completely feel you. Some weekends, Jason and I look like zombies. We're just like, ugh, and you're like, I can't function. It is something that shifts away, though. It is something that gets better, is what I will say. I think I would say 2 onwards is when the sleep really starts to improve a lot more. For instance, touch wood, and I'm touching wood so hard at the moment because we've recently moved the girls into a different room, into a bigger room that's a bit cooler than their other room. And that has helped with their sleep so much to the point where they sleep through now. And when that happens, it's like, oh my God, like they were getting in our bed, and sometimes things click, and you will get to that point where you're like, oh my God, remember how tired we were? And you kind of forget. My advice to you, because you sound like you're both sharing the load and you're both doing everything you can, is to share weekend lie-ins. And what I mean by that is one of you have a lie-in on a Saturday and one of you have a lie-in on a Sunday. Because it sounds like you're both working, you're going back to work, and you're gonna need some functionable sleep. So what me and Jason did when it was really, really tiring, like the newborn times, was, Saturday I'd lie in and he'd take the kids. Sunday he'd lie in and I'd take the kids. And that way we knew the weekend we're both going to get some really decent rest. Another tip is, if you're breastfeeding through the night, which I am still at the moment, I have let Jason not do any of the night because, well, firstly, I'm not working, like you will be going back to work. So he's working at the moment. So I'm very much like, you get your sleep, I'll have the baby in the night. Now the baby is 1, so he isn't waking like a newborn does, and your baby's also 1, so I imagine hopefully waking a bit less. But what we did when he was newborn is I would have the baby through the night, then he would come and get the baby when I woke, and I'd have an extra hour or 2 in bed. So over a weekend, that's another option, because I think when you're breastfeeding or when you're bottle feeding, whatever you're doing and you're getting up with the baby, having the baby being taken care of by someone else, that your sleep's deep. I definitely feel different when I've had a sleep away from the baby. Like this weekend, Jason came and took him because I'd had a really bad night. I said, can you just take him for a little bit? He took him for a few hours. Them hours felt like 20 hours because I can switch off fully. I co-sleep. So I know that when you co-sleeping, you're not deep sleeping really. But when he takes the baby away from me, I fall into the biggest slumber. So that is my only real advice for now, is to try and share the deep sleep as much as you can, as in give each other lie-ins, and ask him to take the baby maybe more of a weekend so that you can get the full few hours, and let him maybe have the nights undisturbed, so you kind of both get in solid sleep at some point. But if anyone has any advice, anything that's worked for you, anything different that you've tried, drop me an email at thenightviewpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, next email. It says, hello, lovely. Second time I'm here and I love listening to your podcast. The constant drip feed of reminders through every episode that I'm not alone and what I'm experiencing is normal is so nice and reassuring. I wondered if you or your listeners could help with ideas for gifts. I have a 7-year-old girl who will be 8 soon. I always get stuck for gifts. The older my daughter gets, the less presents I can think of, and she gets upset too sometimes, asking if isn't there any more. I've maxed out colouring and arts and crafts and clothes. She wants something more exciting, but I'm really stuck. I'd love to get her toys, but there are so many poor quality ones on Amazon and TikTok that get played with once. I know sometimes it's about getting lots of smaller bits, but when the time comes, I'm stumped for ideas. Any help your listeners would give would be so appreciated. Either tips for the types of things to buy, ideas for small presents, or toys for older girls. I really want to cater to those last couple of years while she's still got some innocence and don't want to just buy clothes. Thanks so much, Jess. Thanks for your email, Jess. I completely agree with wanting to keep them young as long as possible. I will be exactly the same the older my kids get, because I think you've only got children for such a small amount of time in the grand scheme of life. And there will come a point where they just want clothes and money. And I think keeping them in their toy era for as long as you can is completely understandable. The first thing that came to my mind when you sent this email was what I got when I was 7. And it made me think about, rather than focusing on the presents and the toys kind of thing, what about getting her into a hobby? Because I feel like 8 is such a good age for paying a bit more attention, learning something that she can actually get really good at. I got a guitar when I was 7, and it is one of the best presents I ever got in terms of the life skill it gave me. I remember getting it and I loved it. I obviously couldn't play it when I first got it, but my dad learned to play with me. So he would learn the chords, help me learn the chords, and we would sit and spend that real quality time together. And it's something like, I would look back on that so fondly. And then they got me into lessons when I was about 8, which at the time felt a bit like a chore when you were a kid. Oh, I've got to do my guitar lesson. That means I've got to practice. And it's another thing that you've got to learn and practice. And sometimes it can be a bit like, oh, but the older I got, the more and more I appreciated it. Into my teenage years, the gift of being able to play an instrument was wonderful. And as an adult now, I don't pick it up often enough, anywhere near often enough. But being able to play classical guitar is such a wonderful gift that they gave me. And it just made me think, rather than, like you say, focusing on quantity of toys and getting these, you can get so many cheap things now, like you're saying, it's just more plastic and more things that get played with once. What about something that you can invest your time in with her? And there's so many apps now, like I think it's called Simply Learn or Simply something, and you can learn together. I quite want to do that with my eldest in the piano. That's something I'm thinking about maybe starting quite soon. Learn together, and it's like a hobby that you can have, and it doesn't have to be an instrument. Even you could do maybe something like air dry clay together. I've got down a whole TikTok rabbit hole on that recently, watching these amazing things people are making with air dry clay and painting them and covering them with a glaze. And again, I feel like 8 is an age when she can truly make something she can be really proud of and get into that hobby and start doing something that maybe she keeps with her for life. So that's my advice, is focusing more on what you could do with her than what you can maybe buy her that just gets played with a couple of times. But if anyone else has got any ideas, drop me an email, thenightviewpodcast@gmail.com. Last email says, have you ever heard of possums? And this really made me smile, this email. So it says, Dear Charlotte, I've been listening to your podcast since my little one was born in March, and I've nearly caught up. Amazing. Have you ever heard of the possum's way of raising a baby? It's also called, let me try and get this right, neuroprotective development care. I think that's right. It's based on the work of an Australian GP, and the main ideas in her book, The Disconnected Little Baby Book. It's all about getting out and about with your baby and not worrying about their sleep, focusing instead on enjoying your day and making sure baby gets lots of what she calls sensory nourishment. Basically, interesting experiences. As a new mother, I went insane trying to make my baby nap according to the internet sleep gurus. When I read the book, I felt like things started to make sense and I enjoyed the days with my baby a lot more. If anyone else is struggling with baby sleep or naps, it might be worth looking up their free articles online and seeing if it's something they might like to try. Possum parenting. I love this. I think deep down I'm a possum parent. I am absolutely a possum parent. I love the thought of routine in the sense that it makes sleep easier, but I hate the fact that all these sleep gurus say you have to keep them in this regimented daily routine, which, let's be honest, makes life restrictive when you've got a newborn. Oh, I can't come at that time because it's nap time, and I can't do that party because it's nap time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been guilty of that. I've said, oh, we'll have the party a bit earlier because it's nap time, and I'm not calling anybody at all because I think it is something that in a lot of ways helps. I know if my kids nap at a certain time, bedtime will be easier. But the idea of possum parenting is really attractive to me because you do enjoy your day more when you go, what the heck. Like this morning, I was a possum parent. I was going out getting teachers flowers and getting flowers for a very, very good friend. And I had to do it today. And then I needed to go to Morrison's and get cards. And this was all over the baby's nap time. So I thought maybe he'll go off for 20 minutes in the car. I'll park up and then I'll take him into the shops. I'll give him a quick 20 minutes in the car, whatever. Didn't happen. He didn't sleep, and then he wanted to sleep, and then he was on my shoulder in Morrison's, and then he was in the florist with me, and the poor thing was getting dragged from pillar to post. But actually, it's not done any harm. He got a little bit of a nap. I got what I needed done, which I wouldn't have had done if I'd have just said, no, he has to nap, and that's that. So I really, really, really love this, and I'm going to do some more reading on it, and I might even do a little bit of a deep dive on an episode, because what I really, really struggle with for this generation of mothers is how much we're told we're doing wrong and that we should be doing this way. And if we don't follow a strict routine, our kids are going to be feral. And it's like, no, it's not the truth. It's not the case. Kids will sleep. They'll catch up. You need to live your life as well. And I think this is a really, really interesting take on, instead of focusing on a nap time schedule, is focusing on sensory nourishment, as they say. But it's called The Discontented Little Baby Book. So if you fancy having a look at that, it's worth a read. And I'm going to have a look as well, because I think it's such a good take that is very refreshing for this generation, I think. Next night is what's trending. So I have to ask, has anyone seen this all over social media? Women have been posting saying they've either had 2 periods in 1 month, or that their period has been really late or completely skipped in June. And this happened to me. I believe I had 2 periods in June. And I didn't think too much about it at the time. But I do look back and think, yeah, that was a bit strange. And thousands of women have had the same experience. My For You page is completely full of videos where someone says, please tell it wasn't just me. And then there's thousands of comments from women saying exactly the same thing happened. Either they skipped a period completely in June, or they had 2. Now, as always with TikTok, the theories have escalated pretty quickly. And there's been people blaming the heat wave, hormones, stress, pollution. And of course, once something starts trending online, the conspiracy theories, they're not usually far behind. But it is a bit weird, isn't it? And I wondered, did anybody else have this experience in June, either a skip period or 2 periods? It's the weirdest thing. It made me also think how crazy it is nowadays, how much women compare notes online. Because if this happened 20 years ago, you'd probably talk to your sister or your friend or your mom and you say, oh, this happened, did it happen to you? Now it's like we have millions of women to compare notes with and how quickly it can escalate. It's mad, isn't it? But I do think it's a nice reminder and it's reassuring to know that you're not alone and you're not the only one. And whether it's periods, sleep deprivation, breastfeeding struggles, or just feeling touched out by 4 p.m, motherhood can feel isolating at times until someone says, oh yeah, me too, this happened to me. So if you've seen these videos, You definitely not imagine it. They've been everywhere, and I don't know what's caused it. I don't think there's any medical research come out yet because, medical research on women isn't exactly up to date, let's say. But it's just interesting, and I thought I'd share it in case you've not seen it. It's just a weird phenomenon that happened in June that also happened to me. But yeah, let me know what you think. The Nightly Podcast at gmail.com. Next is my self-care tip, and tonight it is to create yourself a closing ritual, something to look forward to at the end of the day instead of wasting precious time, which we're all guilty of. After a busy day with the kids, you can look forward to that period of the night where you sit down with your partner, or you sit down and watch something, or you go for a walk. But sometimes it can all just blend into cleaning, doing the kitchen, making the lunches. I don't make the lunches the day before, I'm too type B for that. But, doing the ironing. Again, I don't do that till the morning, I'm too type B. I'm realising lately how type B I am, actually. So what I'm saying is, though, the nights can very quickly disappear. And before you know it, it's time to go to bed. And you've been bed rotting for half an hour on your phone, and you're thinking 5 more minutes. But instead, why not make yourself a little ritual where you look forward to it of an evening? Maybe you do your skincare, which, again, mine is just a bit soap at the moment. I really need to carve out more time for a nice skincare routine, make myself a nice cup of tea, and set aside half an hour to read, or to listen to some music, or to do nothing. Just this closing ritual before you go to bed that it's coming. Because with our kids, we have a bedtime routine. They know they're going to get a story. Some nights, not every night, we have a bath, and they know this is the sleep trigger. This means it's sleep time. And I think as adults, we're quite neglectful with ourselves when it comes to that. Sometimes it can be not even having a shower before you go to bed, or you're just stumbling through the night trying to get everything done. And then you flake on the couch for 10 minutes, and then you're like, oh, I really should go to bed, but then you end up being on your phone. But instead, maybe making a routine like you do with the kids, and just know that this time is my precious half an hour where I'm not going to bed rot on my phone and regret it. I'm going to read something or do something intentional with that time. Finally, to finish on a quote I wrote, "It's 3 a.m, Mama. You've had 30 minutes of sleep, and I'm calling for you again. It's not just the feed, but the hour that will follow of patting, winding, rocking, and comforting me. You try everything in your power to keep your eyes open whilst rocking me to close mine. Your back aches, your eyes are weary, every bone in your body wants to sleep. Tears roll down your face. Just remember in this moment, when I look up at you, I don't see the dark circles under your eyes, the milk-stained pyjamas, unwashed hair, or tears on your cheeks. I see unconditional love. You'll never know just how much comfort you're bringing to me in my little world right now. Your scent, your touch, and the sound of your weary voice humming our favourite lullaby send me back to sleep. These times will soon pass, and our evenings spent together, while the rest of the world sleeps, will be distant memories of the time we spent bonding. Cry those tears, Mama. You're not alone. We've got this." Thanks for listening, and thanks for coming back after my small break. I'm back now every Wednesday, and I look forward to getting your emails, the Nightly Podcast at gmail.com. Keep them coming in, and I will keep answering them all. I wish you all a restful, peaceful night ahead. Good night.